I know it hasn't been that long, but it feels like ages since I've just sat and recorded a video. But I'm here and I'm ready to sit and chat and talk about important things. Hello, welcome back, or welcome to. I'm going to try and keep this one short and sweet, but I highly doubt it because we all know what I'm like. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I hope you all enjoy this video, and if you do, give it a like, give it a share, subscribe. So today is going to be a bit more of a serious one. Again, shocking. If you watched my last one, I nearly wore that. So if you joined in my last video, then you would have, if you watched the whole thing, I know it was very long and I'm sorry about that. Believe it or not, I did try and keep it as short as possible. But yeah, in that you would have heard me say that I have and do struggle with self-harm. I don't actually remember how I came about finding this out, but I wasn't aware that the 1st of March is actually Self-Injury Awareness Day, which again, you know, you hear about mental health awareness, but I've never heard of self-injury awareness, and I think it's so important for that to be acknowledged. As someone who has and does suffer and struggle with self-harm, I am very aware of the stigma and the incredibly negative attitudes towards self-harm, whether that be someone who has unfortunately seen it, you know, while the episode is taking place, or whether they've seen scars. It is just generally a very negative response. Don't get me wrong, there are some amazing people who, despite how difficult it is to be around that and in that, they're just amazing with dealing with it. So I'm so blessed to have those people in my life. I think a lot of people like to say that they are very accepting and tolerant and understanding of mental health issues, but that just tends to be anxiety and depression because they're kind of more understood, and I don't know, there's just been a lot of coverage, I suppose, in recent years about that, so people have kind of learned more about that and how to look after and cope with people and understand people who suffer with it. Whereas self-harm is, I think for me, again, this is all going to be just personal experiences. It took a long time for me to accept that I got into this horrible habit. I remember when I was younger, I don't know if I thought about it or I had this conversation with somebody, but I remember saying, oh, I would never cut myself or I would never hurt myself because that's stupid and it doesn't achieve anything. It's not until you're in that situation where you feel that that is your last resort or your only option. It's not until you're in that situation that you understand it. I'm gonna try and explain this in the most orderly way, but I'm just kind of, the way I do these videos is I think it, I say it, and it's out there. I'm gonna try and explain this in the easiest way, but I'm not too good at that. So I'm trying my best, and again, I will learn as I carry on making these videos. Sorry if the frame just changed, I'm having to deal with the dog. So there are a few things that I kind of want to say about self-harm. The first one being that I think there's a real misconception that self-harm comes in one form, which is completely false. It can be anything that causes your self-injury. Punching walls, scratching, hair pulling, you know, the list goes on and on. Anything that someone uses to harm themselves is self-harm. And if you know someone or you do this yourself, then that needs to be recognised as self-harm. I think one of the things people need to do to improve the attitudes towards self-harm is, I've had so many horrible negative responses to my self-harm. I've unfortunately been in situations where others have seen me do it, or others have seen me try to do it, or have seen the aftermath, or have just seen my scars and acted really negatively. I have lost friends over it. I have had people shout at me for it. I've lost a lot of people because of it, and that is what is so frustrating, is that as uncomfortable as you may feel seeing someone else in that state, stop and think how that person feels. Do you think they want to be doing that to themselves? You know, no one wants to look at part of their body and be reminded of how negative their mind state was, because, you know, some of these scars can last for years, and it's heartbreaking to lose people over your internal struggles. For me, I think it's always quite difficult, because I've had a lot of people say, like, why do you do it? Why don't you stop yourself? And I wish it was a really simple answer, but the way I kind of explain it is, when I'm in that state, I mean, for me, I have a lot of intrusive thoughts. Nothing, like, there could be nothing going on. I could be fine, I could be perfectly normal, and I will get a thought and something niggling in the back of my head saying, like, you should do this to yourself, you need to do this to yourself, you should do this. And it is so difficult to ignore it. And I think one of the things that people don't understand is that, you know, if I'm constantly ignoring those thoughts, trying to ignore all this negativity, and then something that someone thinks is minor, or, you know, it's not that big of a deal, that can tip someone over the edge. So I have been in situations where something that, you know, doesn't seem like a big deal, should move past it, whatever, that can be what pushes me over the edge. And then there'll be people being like, why did you do that over that? And it's like, you don't understand that this has been something building up, and I don't have the strength to stop it. Again, this is just my experiences. I don't want to say this is fact. So if you're someone like me, stresses, anxieties, all this build up of, you know, situations and whatnot, the way it feels for me is like I am filled with tension, and I almost feel like I can't get out of my body, and I feel very like I won't let people touch me. I feel very tense and full of energy and negative energy, and my only way to release that energy is to self-harm. And it is a temporary fix. It's like an escape, it's a release. It can be, you know, a case of, I need to release this energy, or I need to punish myself for whatever has happened. And it seriously takes a toll on you, emotionally, physically, your relationships. Like I say, I've lost a lot of relationships because of this, and it sucks. I hate that whenever I look at a part of my body, I think it's ugly because of something that I did. And, you know, I do try and use cocoa butter and bio oil and all those things that are for scars and stretch marks, which, I mean, it might be helping. You know, some of my worst scars are now pretty much gone. Others are, you know, they don't seem to be changing. So it is a lot of time and looking after it. But, you know, when it's nice weather and people, or like when you're going out and people want to wear, you know, like really nice dresses, you know, strappy dresses, flowy dresses, or, you know, want to look sexy and want to look like they want to feel good. You know, a lot of people can put something on and not really have to worry as much. I have to worry about what people are going to think. I need to worry about what's on show, if I'm comfortable going out and having people possibly see that. But it's like silly things like, you know, I want to go to graduation and I want to be able to wear a lovely dress that will likely show my scars, and that's been a big thing that's playing on my mind. Like, can I do that? And I want to be able to do that. I want to see a beautiful piece of clothing and think I can look good in that, regardless of my scars. And that's why it's so frustrating. You know, I've caught many people staring at my scars. And it's difficult for me to work out whether, I think I would rather someone say to me, "Are you okay? I noticed you've got these scars." Rather than, you know, I've had people say it to ask other people about it who are closer to me. I've had people just stare, and then when I catch them, they pretend they weren't. And they, like, when I ask them, "You're staring at me," they're like, "No, I'm not, no, I'm not." And it's just like, I want to be able to wear what I wear. And if you are someone who is similar to my age, you know, if you're at university or thinking about going to university and you're living on campus or living in a house or, you know, living away from home, that will be your home environment. So if you want to wear, you know, maybe a short sleeve t-shirt, maybe like shorts, comfy clothes that aren't restrictive and aren't covering your body, you should be allowed to do that without feeling judgment from the other people around you, because that is your home and that is your safe space. And if you can't feel comfortable in your safe space, that is really gonna cause so many negative effects. I don't know, self-harm is a very difficult thing to talk about. I've got better at saying the words though, so at least I can say the words on camera now without feeling totally uncomfortable. With self-harm, for me, it isn't something that I do regularly or in a pattern. It is just, it's very situational and depends on what is happening in my life, depends on how I'm mentally. And I think that's maybe one of the scariest things, is that it's quite difficult to prevent in that sense, because, you know, you're not like, okay, I need to be wary because this is going to happen. And like I say, I can be fine and I still get those intrusive thoughts, and it's so difficult to communicate that to people. You know, unfortunately, I do have friends who have or do self-harm, and, you know, they're the kind of only people that understand it, because it's such a difficult thing to communicate and accept, I suppose. Yeah, so hopefully the day that I am uploading this should be the 1st of March, and it is self-harm awareness. And I think if you can be more open and accepting of your self-harm, especially on like this day or around this day, you know, just encouraging people to talk about it, because, you know, we did it with depression, we've done it with anxiety. People are a lot more open about talking about that. So if we get the awareness out for self-harm, then hopefully you can get to the same, you know, kind of acceptance. And I think that's really important. When I've seen, you know, strangers walking around, especially in summer, obviously you tend to see people's scars more because no one wants to be wearing 5 layers. It's so brave to have your scars on show. I think a lot of people have the misconception that it is for attention, it is for people to see, and that frustrates me, because if it's for, like, if I want attention, I'm not gonna hurt myself for that. You know, like, it's a lot deeper than just wanting people to pay attention. You know, when I was 18 and I started doing it, it was in a different form. I'm not going to talk about how I have or do self-harm because it's not really important. But I guess it was, you know, I wasn't getting any help. I was in a horrible place, and it's all I thought to do. I thought I needed to be punished, and I thought, you know, I deserved that. And no one does. No one deserves to feel the need that they need to do that to themselves. And, you know, stop it. Thank you. You know, if anyone watching this, you stay there. No, I'm not stroking you because you're being mean. If there is anyone here who's watching and suffers with self-harm, I would really encourage you to talk to somebody. And one of the biggest things is, I don't know what I want someone to say to me when I'm in that moment, because you don't think rationally, you don't think how you would, you know, in your normal state. In your rational mind, you wouldn't want to do that to yourself. And I always say it's kind of like a mist, and I I feel like a different person when I'm in that state, and that's quite scary. It's like you don't recognise yourself. Just such a bizarre feeling. My biggest advice for anyone who is suffering with this is talk to people that you trust, whether that be your family members, your friends, a professional. Have someone know that you are dealing with this, because support is really important. A second piece of advice would be make sure you look after the wounds. Like I say, I use, obviously once it's like healed, you know, use bio oil, use cocoa butter to try and help the appearance of the scars if that is something that you're really concerned about. But also while it is healing, look after it, wear loose clothing and antiseptic. Anything you can do to look after it is really important, because you don't want infections, you don't want, you know, see, this is the thing, I start talking and I have all these ideas before I film, and then I start rambling and I lose my train of thought, and I'm so sorry if it doesn't make any sense. I've now learned that anyone who is negative about my self-harm, I will cut you out of my life before you cut me out of yours. And I've had someone say, you know, why are you being angry with me? It's not a big deal. Why are we going to fall out over something that's so irrelevant? Oh, this is a subject that gets me really angry. Self-harm is a huge deal, and it isn't just a, right, that's happened, it's done. It's a psychological thing. It's a thing that you, like I say, you need to look after that. Every time you look at that scar or that set of scars or whatever, you're reminded of so many things, and it is not irrelevant. And every time I look at the scars that occurred, you know, during that event, reminds me of that. And you know, it's irrelevant for you because you've not been affected by this. You can move on with your life. We can't. It's something that sticks with us. I'm gonna do a film? I don't think I'm ready to make a film. I'm gonna do a video on some of the responses that I've had from people. I don't like people who see self-harm as a trend. It's not trendy. It's not something you want to do, and it infuriates me. I don't know, it's bizarre to me. You know, some people, you know, someone like me who hates it, hates having this thing wrong with me, hates participating in it, to then have someone who flaunts it and thinks it's nice to share in a, you know, in a look at me, I'm so cool kind of way. It's very strange to me. And I think that is, you know, why self-harm is so difficult to comprehend to some people, because some people do it for attention. Some people do it because, I don't know, it's like doing it for the sake of doing it, which it blows my mind. I'm so confused. People confuse me. But yeah. Self-Harm Awareness Day. I hope everyone stays safe. I hope everyone feels as though this maybe helps them if they're struggling, or, you know, opens a conversation with somebody that needs it. Because like any other, you know, like a mental health problem, it is not something you should be ashamed of. And I think what puts people off is that with depression, with bipolar, with anxiety, other people can't see that. You know, there's not a physical. With self-harm, you have the physical evidence of that. And I think that makes people uncomfortable, because it almost makes them feel like they have to acknowledge it. And I don't know, it's a very difficult thing. It's bizarre. Just self-harm is just, it's crazy. But yeah, I encourage anyone to please get help for it. Talk to someone. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. I'm sorry if it was a bit deep, but it's important and things have to be spoken about. So I hope you all have a lovely day as always, and stay safe, and I hope you join me in the next one. So thank you, bye.